Hello, my friends. Welcome to your seat at the table. I'm Rick, and I got Gray and White Mama sitting over here, and we are looking at Mercurial in concert at the Underworld. This is a Shadowrun adventure. I bought this in 1989. It says very clearly here, and I paid $8 for it. Once again, a lot of these adventures I bought and hoped to run, but I never got an opportunity to do so. But it gives you a good uh, overview or look into some of the gaming options and opportunities in Shadowrun. And like anything like this, there's always additional stuff that can be tapped to be used for other settings or adventures on your own. And this particular one comes out as like it sounds like it's the traditional bodyguard thing. Then it turns out that there's layers of other stuff going on inside it. It turns out nothing is quite as simple as it sounds. So the plot synopsis is Mercurial tangles up the Shadowrunners in a nasty web of double dealing and danger. They think their job is to protect the rock star Maria Mercurial, who is being threatened by her former agent Armando Hernandez. Hernandez is angry that Maria had canceled her contract with him and signed on with his arch rival Max Foley. Sounds like a straightforward bodyguard gig, right? But nobody knows, not even Maria herself, is that until 5 years ago, she was the bodyguard secretary and mistress to Reinaldo Texamakura, senior exec at As Technology. He loaded her skull with sealed memory and bought her a major skin job, real cutting edge state of the art cyber tech. Then Tecker Markham's also addicted her to dream chips, that is BTLs, or better than life, illegal Simissense chips. When Maria hooked on the custom chips only he could provide, then Takashima figured to keep her obedient to his every whim. Then in 2045, during a trip to Seattle, she rebelled and killed him. Helped us, then escaped into the Barrens, still hooked on dream chipping. She fed her habit by working as a prostitute. One night, a music promoter named Hernando Hernandez heard her sing and is so impressed, etc., and she becomes an overnight stalk. So this comes in as your traditional. We get hired to protect somebody, except it turns out that the good guys are not necessarily the bad guy, or the good guys are actually the bad guys, and the bad guy they're protecting her from is actually the good guy who, as her former agent, also potentially loves her deeply, and she herself loves him very much, and is very distressed by the fact that she thinks that he's, done something that she's turned against. That so she was turned against him, and then to make her an even interesting character herself. Part of her skin job is she has this chromation. So her legs and her arms were replaced with mechanical exteriors to give her this chrome look, and part of her head was chrome as well. And then she herself is. It says to be careful that she's not schizophrenic. She's not a split personality, but she has several personality types that will come to the forefront depending on what's going on. And you have to, as a GM, you have to play her in that kind of semi schizophrenic situation, I guess, multiple personality syndrome without the actual syndrome. All right, so we get the Underworld 93, and the map key is a 5-story tall converted warehouse. The inside's been gutted out, and the cameras here still has a post industrial look, etc., etc., but it's extremely popular nightclub in Seattle. So we telling tales, tell them straight, play it to the max, tell them straight. One of the things about some of these early modules is they were designed by railroad conductors for the railroad. And if you get the gist of what I'm saying is that you're actually, it's hard baked into these that your characters are supposed to go a certain way and do a certain thing. And if they don't, then here's your possible scenarios to bring them back around to get into that scenario. Or if they skip something, like you can still, they don't have to miss out on valuable clues or other things because you can work it in later. Once again, you've turned the train, so the train goes the direction that the story wants them to go, and not what the players want to do. And that is how they were all created, or most of them were created back in the day, that have a lot of that element in them. So, right. So Talon's been is aware that Foley's been looking for muscle, and he has had one way or another set up a meet the player characters because he's looking to hire bodyguards, but he's not telling him the whole thing, what's going on. And there's some shenanigans and stuff going on in there too. All right. You get Quicksilver Queen. As you close the deal with Foley, you notice the music, which has been audible in the background until now, has stopped playing. It sounds thunderous applause. Sounds like Maria has finished playing her set. Every red-blooded male metahuman in the room is going to have to take a deep breath. The rocker princess is even more charismatic at close quarters than she is at range on the stage. And she is still high on the adrenaline surge of a star performer, prowls the very room like a lithe silver panther. She radiates security and a strong tang of danger. She is abrupt and energized as though prepared for battle. Game Master's notes. At this point, Maria's Amazon personality, her usual persona during a performance, is in charge. Her English is excellent with a noticeable Adelan accent. If she becomes excited, Maria begins to mix Aztec and Spanish with her English. After being introduced to the team, she steps into the bathroom to clean up and change. When she emerges, she is subdued, speaking quietly and factually with little emotion. The tight, revealing costume she wore on stage has been replaced by a padded kimono belted tightly around the waist, so though she is attractive as ever, there's none of the flaunting sexual challenge she gave off before. Game Master's notes, Maria's schoolmistress personality is now in effect, and remains so until the fighting begins in the next section. So you get the idea. So you get this multiple personality that comes out depending on what's going on and what's stressed. She also has this little girl mode too, but they're not. It's something she consciously can switch between. It's something she crafted and not something that's part of her schizo or her dream chip addiction scenario. So, and we get tell them to the street, behind the scenes, etc. So at the end of the day, Max Foley is being manipulated and he's using her. And they're creating some kind of chip or something, and she thinks, or somebody convinces her, probably Max Foley, that it was her former agent Hernando who was the one involved in this, and she's absolutely at her, it goes against her grain. She can't stand it. So that's why she switched sides or switched agents, and it's just racking her. She's just full of guilt and other issues going on inside. And so there's these combinations, and then we got the Yakuza get involved in it because there's a third party that want to make some money off of it or something. It's your traditional run of the mill, and I'm butchering this. I'm not doing a really good job of explaining just how it is, and it's kind of complicated. What I mean by complicated is it's hard for me, since I never ran it, to sit there and walk through it and tell you what how I felt it was when I ran it, because I didn't. And so aside from just reading to you page by page, which I'm not willing to do, it's kind of coming up short, I guess. Now, at the end of the day, Hernandez comes out to be actually the good guy, and the players should come to that conclusion at some point. And there's the bad guy who's wanting to manipulate her and utilize her, but she's doing it through Max Foley, who ends up owes a bunch of money or something to a third party, to the Yakuza and somebody else. We get down to the wire. Want to glide that's over. Oh yeah, and then the dragon. Then we get find those two fellas. Yakuza goons. Digging for dirt. Decking the knights into the lair. Right. Right. If Maria's not in the Dragon Knight's hands when the Shadowrunners corner Kyle Morgan, he will simply attack them all out blazingly with his pistol. He will not seek cover. He will not parlay. He will not surrender. Caught in a dilemma between the duty of to his job as admiration for Maria, he chooses this way out. He's not fighting to kill. Yeah, I think because as technology wants to get their hands on her, because there's some information or something that's baked into that secured thing in her head that they want to tap or something. Like I said, there's a bunch of wheels inside of wheels, and then, okay, so Kyle Morgan, then his bodyguard crony is Paranir. In 2022, Paranir woke from a centuries-long sleep in a Welsh cavern. He's a dragon in disguise. Not like having your personal buddy, your best friend and bodyguard to be a dragon. And then we get a couple other NPCs. Yeah, we're Mercurial. All right, so we get the cast character cell. Maria Mercurial. We get a look at her in the artwork. She reminds me of some of the popular rock star vibe for women back in the late 80s, is what it comes across as. And I think of a couple. You ever seen Buckaroo Banzai? Miss Pretty, I think was her name. This character just has a staggering resemblance to her without, if Miss Pretty had chrome and shorter hair, but the kind of same vibe about her. So you've got Maria Mercurial, and she has the Amazon persona. So when Maria's ammo, she is filled with energy almost to the point of being in a rage. She is abrupt with no patience for a lengthy discussion, has a hair trigger temper. The Amazon and her usual personality when performing. Then she has the schoolmistress, and then she has the innocent. Maria's third and last personality is innocent. In this mode, she is this innocent child again in time before her life was wrenched out of shape to satisfy Tekramarka's fantasies. Innocent is friendly, open to people, and trusting. She does not act childish, but she has the naivety of a child. This personality surfaces when Maria feels safe. A rare occurrence in her life these days is the foundation on which Dr. Kinner hopes to build an integrated personality for her patient. So that's the other thing. She's so screwed up with the dream chips that she's at a real risk for catatonic failure of the brain if she keeps using these BTLs, and part of it is breaking her from the habit and finding out who's feeding her the crap and why and so on and so forth. So it's a good, decent looking module. And like I said, I read through it twice in the last couple of weeks, trying to get my head around exactly how to present it. And that's a bit of a challenge. I'm not going to lie. It is a bit of a challenge. And I have a number of these. I got DOA, DNA in the bathroom. I've been trying to get my head around, but it's one thing to read these things. It's another thing to try to share them in a way that makes sense, especially if you haven't had an opportunity to play them. So if anybody's ran this and played it, by all means, please put some support in the damn comments. Anyway, it's me. Got some zero sugar mug root beer with no caffeine. Till next time.